If you've been following this channel, then you know that I'm all about the less known Rome. But now there's competition. Stick around to find out about it. It's gonna be worth it. Those of you who watch my older videos remember Silvia. Hello Silvia, welcome back.
Hi, nice to see you again.
Alright, nice to see you. If you haven't seen any of the older videos with Silvia, I'll leave them for you below. Now, the reason why Silvia is here today is not another tour. No. Better than that. Silvia has published a book. Well, Silvia, tell us everything about the book.
Well, it's a special adventure, and in fact the name is 103 Other Adventures, and luckily I was not on my own. I had a co-author, and it's Bill.
Hi Bill.
Hi Tony.
Nice to meet you.
It's great to be here.
So tell us about this book.
Well, it was a great activity for the lockdown. It took us 14 months to be ready. And I think that Bill had already some ideas of writing something, and then he included me in this adventure.
All right, well, where did the idea come from?
I had just moved to Rome 3 years ago, and I didn't really come with any preconceived notion about Rome's history, and so I was beginning from scratch. Everything was new and daunting. I didn't know the timeline even, and I met Silvia on a tour, and
like I did.
Yeah. And I was trying to fill in the gaps, and it was a tour of the Aqueduct, if I remember correctly. And I went on successive tours with Silvia, and she knew seemingly everything about Rome. So eventually, when the COVID lockdown started, I was looking for something to do, and it became really obvious that a book should be written about these things. And the next tour I had with Silvia, which was like the following week, I said, "Hey Silvia, when are we going to write a book?" And then it exploded from there. We didn't even question it.
All right, that's great. So, how many places? 103 places. All right, so that's... when people ask me about Rome, they say, "Oh, we're coming over for a long weekend. Is that going to be enough?" What do you think, Bill?
Well, the first time people come to Rome, they got to do the big places. They have to go to the Colosseum and the Pantheon and the Trevi Fountain. But if you're here for a week or you come back a second time, there's so much more to see than that. So that's where this book takes off.
You need that second time, and probably third and fourth.
Yes. Silvia has clients who come back every year. So.
Yeah. Because what I say, people ask, okay, is a long weekend enough? I go, well, you're going to need about 300 days. 300 days. I'd say, okay, 100 is a minimum. Obviously, it's difficult to have like 100 days to take a 100-day vacation. Can't do that. But you should have several goes at Rome. One is definitely not enough, because the more you return to it, the prettier, the more exciting, the better it gets.
And if I can add something, I think that the idea is that you just don't see only, but you live the city. So these are adventures that are just giving a hint, or that's something that is worth doing. And then it gives you the instructions on how to do it, how to go there, and which is the best season, if it's suitable for the kids, this kind of things. And then you live the adventure by yourself. But the idea is that you live the place, not you just go to see and take a box.
Absolutely, yeah. I completely agree on that, because that's just how Rome is. You need to live Rome. If you just visit and go see tourist stuff, that's not Rome.
It's the start. It's just the first thing. You need the first trip to have a second trip.
Absolutely, yeah. You need to get the Colosseum, the Spanish Steps, Piazza Navona, whatever, out of the way, and then it gets better. That's what I tell people. It gets better later. After that, it gets better.
Yeah, definitely, we agree.
All right, but this book follows certain logic, right? It's sort of like organized pretty well, and there's a little bit for everyone. So
that's its idea. Yes.
Yeah, go, Bill.
Well, I wanted to put everything in historical context because Rome is so overlapping. The history is literally everywhere, and it's from 2,000 years ago, it's from 30 years ago, it's from 500 years ago. So I was having trouble defining the timeline of Rome.
Yeah.
So that's what led me to propose the structure of the book, starting with pre-ancient Rome, the Etruscans, and working.
So what is the structure of the book?
Initially starts with a historical timeline, starts with the Etruscans, pre-ancient Rome, goes through ancient Rome, and then the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, more modern unification and Mussolini, and then it moves into kind of adventures that are not necessarily historical. There's also outdoor adventures. There's so much outside of Rome. The hill towns, the food, the wine, the physical adventures, caving, skiing, things like that. And then
and a lot about the water, because the first hint for this book is that he wanted to go swimming and he didn't know where to go.
my first.
So where did you go?
My first August in Rome, and I came from climate that was not so warm as this, so I was dying. I was searching for a swimming hole, and I called Silvia and I said, where do I go swimming? And she said, well, there's so many lakes in Lazio. So the next Saturday I went north, Bracciano and Marturanum, and that solved the swimming problem.
Yeah. By the way, I'm gonna leave links where to go swimming below.
Yeah, I know that. You know all the places. Probably you have to check if you have some adventures that you have not been.
Well, many of them. But I've done a video on Untitled Antica, I've done Ostia, I've done La Piscina delle Rose, the swimming pool. So there's plenty of water stuff even on my channel.
So even coming on August is not a taboo anymore.
No. Oh, I love
survive.
August in Rome. I love it. Yeah. So this book has 4 distinct parts.
Yes, the first part deals with history because there's so much layered history in Rome. You have to have that up front. The second part talks about art, from classic art, painting, statues, music, a bunch of different venues in Rome. The third part talks about kind of terrestrial adventures, largely outside of Rome, hill towns, adventures like skiing and caving and things like that. And the third section is aquatic adventures, and that's about going to the beach and going to the lakes. Just fantastic opportunities to.
Well, where are we right now?
Oh, we are in Vilada. Yes, and it's one of the parks that we talk about in the book as well. There are a lot of historical parks in Rome that are really worth seeing and that really conveys the idea of what Rome also is.
Why Vilada? Because there's like so many parks in Rome. Why Vilada as opposed to Villa Borghese, Villa Pamphili?
Vilada is probably most remote than other parks, like, I don't know, everybody knows about Villa Borghese. It's more centrally located. Not many people come to Vilada. It's more of a real Roman area.
It's more residential, less touristy. Yeah.
It's got really nice forest in this park.
Yeah.
And also amazing history. You know, behind that wall is Via Salaria, which is from the 3rd century BC, and 100 meters that way is where Mussolini got arrested, and 200 meters that way is a catacomb from the 3rd century.
What's the first chapter? The history, right?
Yeah, history.
Give me an example of something, okay, well, you know what I know, I guess, right? But what is it that I don't know and is in your book?
So during the lockdown, one of the few things that you were allowed to do was walking on your own and going on a bike. So that's what I did for 2 months. And I went all the way down to the final part of the park of the Appian Way. So you can do so much in this area, and I really love the way that you can incorporate so many adventures going on a horse, or bicycling, or trekking, or exploring the tombs, or whatever. There is really everything, and that's the idea, that we give you some background background of the location that we suggest, and then the reason really why it's worth going, and how do you get there, also by public transportation. And cost and time, if it's something that is open to the public, or it will cost you money, how much you have to allocate more or less, if it's suitable for the children, and of course, I'm a tour guide, so I expressly ask Bill to introduce this little thing that says, what is, if you go with a guide or not, the discrepancy between the kind of experience that you can have, and when it's really worth having one, or when really, if you're just going to Reggiane for the beach and an aperitivo, you can get rid of me.
But the thing is, Appian Way, okay, everybody's heard of it. I mean, there's streets in LA called Appian Way. But what is it? I mean, I've done it in one of my videos with, it's a Vespa tour with Valerio. But just for this video, what is Appian Way?
The Appian Way is the first official paved road of the Roman times. 312 BC, there was already a paved road.
Well, the first adventure that I attempted to write was Cinecittà and Cinecittà Studios. And I'd gone there with my daughter, who is now a film student, and it was fascinating because it's both a window into a practical movie-making environment. It has a museum about Italian cinema, which is fascinating and rich. So many good Italian movies. And there's also the studio sets in the background, which are amazing. They're made out of fiberglass and plastic, so you can't step on them because you might fall through. But they're giant reproductions of the Forum and places like that.
Well, we have a lot of adventures that are outside of Rome, and I think that a special part of our job was to find a way to incorporate also some what we call fun facts and the enrichment. These are two final sections of each chapter.
By enrichment, you don't mean porchetta?
Sometimes. Sometimes porchetta is the main reason, and the enrichment is, there is also a museum. It depends which is the topic. So the idea is that you go for a special adventure, special reasons, but then once you are in the area, you can transform that main goal into just an excuse to spend the whole day or even a weekend. For instance, in Sperlonga, there is this beautiful winery that is trying to reproduce the wine of the ancient Romans, because they have the grape that is the most similar to the ancient Roman grapes. And so you can visit the cellar and have a wine tasting and all that. But by the way, like 10 kilometers away, there is the beach, there is the villa of the Emperor Tiberius, so there is so much to do. And you can just have an overnight in the place and spend the whole weekend. So
Sperlonga, a beautiful place. Whoever says beaches in Lazio are... No, Sperlonga is beautiful.
Sperlonga is probably the first really beautiful beach that you made going south. Then from then onwards, you cannot go wrong.
Tiberius chose it 2,000 years ago as his favorite beach.
Exactly.
It was
the old Romans were smart people.
They had choice. They have all the coastline at disposal, and they picked that. So yes, the idea is that we also give some other hints to what to do in the area. Which is more or less very similar to what you are doing, in fact, because this series of videos is exactly a way to inspire people to enjoy their holiday or their stay in Rome. And if you follow the channel, you get all these great tips. So if you subscribe in the channel, you will receive constantly good ideas.
Yeah, well, I never ask you guys to subscribe, but
it's useful for the people that want to have a more fulfilling and, according to me, more personal holidays. There is this idea that when you travel, you do what your friends have done. Because it was so good. No, you have to do what you like, and only if you have an idea of what is available, you can choose.
And it's just plain better, all right? The more time you spend here in how to spend that time is writing this book, it gets better. You enjoy it more.
Yeah, and also the trip starts when you start planning. You are already traveling when you read a book about travel.
So listen, where do I get the book?
Right now it's on Amazon,
okay.
Amazon.it and Amazon.com. We hope to, right now it's only in paperback, and hopefully we're going to get it into an ebook, also on Amazon, and we're working on other ways to get it out to other markets. Well, one of the strategies in writing the book was not to tell everything about the place, but just to whet the traveler's appetite on why they should go there. Just give them enough that they're interested in it, because we want to have them still have a sense of discovery when they get there. They shouldn't know everything about a place when they go.
Yeah, and I think that another thing, now, on internet you can find everything, but you have to know what to look for.
Exactly, yeah.
And you are overwhelmed by how much you have to look at.
Yeah.
So the idea of writing a book could be a bit vintage now, but in fact is more the work of the selection of the places. We selected places that you can really go to. I mean, there are a lot of lists of, this is a wonderful thing to do. Then you discover that it's only open one day a year, only if you know that you have the number of the caretaker that opened it for you. So these are things that you can really do because they have been checked, because we live here, because I'm a tour guide and he is an experienced traveler, and we have tested everything for you. So that's the idea that make the difference between any list that you can find in a blog, that is very easy to do, but then when you try doing that stuff, it's not always possible.
To be honest, I have not tested the paragliding.
No, the paraglide, yes. Yeah, there is one adventure that we put just because we dream of doing it, but all the others, I think they have been tested, yes, including...
But the thing is, if I could describe Rome in one word, that would be overwhelming. Yeah, we all know beautiful, all that, but it's overwhelming. You need to know what you're doing, because otherwise you'll be tired. It's going to be like 9 o'clock in the morning, you're already going to be tired. So you need to know what you're doing. So that's why, a book like this can be very helpful. That's why I'm doing my channel.
Yeah, I hope so.
Particularly the historical sites have so many stories associated with them that having a guide with you to tell you those stories, because you can read about some things in guidebooks, but the guide really brings them to life, and there's so much history literally around every single corner. You turn a corner and there's another story to hear. And for me as a recent visitor to Rome, it's fascinating.
So one chapter of this book relates to traveling with kids.
Well, in each adventure, there's a section that talks about whether it's how appropriate it is for various ages of kids. So certainly, some things are more complicated than little kids probably want to deal with. Some things are physically harder. So it tries to zero in on the appropriate age group for the adventure. And in the back, there's a list of the most appropriate adventures for little kids. And indeed, my family, my kids have helped me put this book together. My daughter made the maps in the back too.
Great. Yeah, so the book is out, Bill and Silvia on social media, so send them your suggestions, opinions.
Yeah, we are already thinking of maybe a second edition, so any adventure that is not listed will be welcome to be considered for another book. Or if you go to some of the places that we recommend and you have the book with you, you send us a picture. We are on Instagram and Facebook, and we have websites for our activities.
That's cool. Send them a picture. Stay safe. See you later.
Hit the like button.
The reason Silvia's here today is not another tour. No. Way better than that. Silvia's published... Fuck. Excuse me. Parks in Rome. Why Vilada as opposed to Villa Borghese, Villa Pamphilio?
Because it's close to where he lives.
Well, we're gonna keep that fact off that. We don't want to let people. We have groupies, and we don't want any groupies chasing Bill here.
It's fine until it happens, and then I'm not sure.